Hello, everybody, and of course, welcome back to another episode of X Talking Ish with your boy X. And at the moment, we don't have my boy Ish on live with us at the moment. So if he was here, he would say, of course, in Ish. With that being said, let's go ahead and get right into the intro. Y'all know what to do if y'all are on Facebook. Please make sure you like and share this broadcast so we can have more people check out this show. Of course, if you are, again, like we said, on Facebook, please make sure you like our Facebook page on there. If you are on YouTube, please make sure you go ahead and check us out on YouTube and make sure you hit that subscribe button and also hit that notification bell so you can have shows like this one notified for you in the future. Ding. Thank you for that, Ish. And as well, if you are on Twitter, please make sure you go ahead and check us out at at X Talking Ish on Twitter, and as well, if you want to check us out on my personal page, you can check me out at X_Williams81. I went ahead and retweeted the show for everyone as well on there. All righty, then let's get right into it. This is the Week 14 preview show. Of course, we go over the games that we are going to check out for this Sunday slate, and as well, we will see you guys for Monday to check out the first half of Monday night's football game. But before we get into, of course, the Monday night football game, let's get into the Sunday games and just give everybody a heads up. Unfortunately, my partner in crime will not be with us today. Unfortunately, he has some technical difficulties, but he hopefully will be back sooner rather than later. Hopefully, we'll see him on Monday. But at the moment, y'all have me, so we will make this short, efficient. Again, unfortunately, because we don't have my co-host, it won't be the typical banner. But for everybody that's tuning in today, let's be interactive. Let's talk a lot. Let's get some football in. Let's talk some knowledge. Let's talk some football. From real knowledge, and let's talk about these games because some very important games on both sides, NFC and AFC, playoff seeding implications. You have some divisional matchups that are very important when it comes to who's going to win said divisions. And overall, I think it's going to be another great week of football. This has been a very unusual year in the NFL just due to the parity that's going on in the NFL. Seems like anybody can be anybody. The NFC, you've have their heavyweights for the most part when it comes to, of course, the Cardinals, Packers, Bucks, and Cowboys. And it seems like the Rams want to be one of those teams, but we don't know just yet. The AFC side, the Patriots, of course, seems like the Patriots haven't lost a step since Tom Brady left last year. We'll count that as a mulligan for Bill Belichick just due to he didn't have his full team. So in reality, we've chalked that up as a mulligan year for Bill Belichick, but with him being able to reload and reassemble, it seems like the Patriots are back where they left off. You have the Titans, Ravens, and Chiefs still trying to figure out things and still trying to get players healthy and still trying to make a run going into the playoffs. And you have these other teams that are on the outside, that are in the playoff hunt, but could be out of the playoff hunt with just one loss or two losses over these next couple of weeks, to where you have teams like the Chargers, Bengals, and Bills, where they have some very, very big important games, not just this week, but the end of the season, to where they can go from being the fifth seed to being the ninth seed in the AFC. That's how close of these games are in the NFL. All right, with that being said, let's go ahead and get into not a sexy game to talk about, but it is our first game that we will speak of right here in Houston, Texas. The Seattle Seahawks travel to Houston to play Houston Texans, and the biggest news that Texan fans got out of this week was seems like they are shutting down Tyrod Taylor. Unfortunately, Tyrod Taylor has been replaced by seems like the quarterback for the future for the Houston Texans. We don't know just yet, but Mr. Davis Mills will be taking over quarterback duties for the Houston Texans. Don't really know why that change was made. We do know he had a tough game last week, got pulled in the third quarter. But if you're trying to win games, just throwing that out there, then you would think you would still want to go with the veteran that's been able to win you the two games that you've won. I'm just saying. And with that being said, it just seems like the Texans are going to chalk it up as a season where We're already out of playoff contention. First team to be out of playoff contention in the NFL, even with all the parity. Hey, the Detroit Lions, with one loss in the NFC, still have an opportunity to make the playoffs. So think about that. It seems like with them handing the reins over to Davis Mills, it just seems like they're kind of giving up on the season. Like, I mean, it seems like they've already did that in the beginning of the season, anyways. But overall, it just seems like the Texans don't want to, as some players on the team, as we've seen with Zach Cunningham getting released earlier in the week as well too. It just seems like inside the locker room, certain people don't want to be there, and the writing's on the wall. And it's very unfortunate for a guy like David Culley, the head coach for the Houston Texans, to have to go through a rebuilding phase like this. And another coach that's in the same division, that's in Florida, Mr. Urban Meyer, who's going through a rebuilding phase with Jacksonville. He's doing it the completely different way, making headlines and news for the wrong reasons. And David Culley's just over here sitting around like an old man, just sitting on his front porch, just minding his own business, and he getting smacked upside the head by these wasps, as they call Houston Texans ownership. That is unfortunately putting him in a bad situation to have to deal with this dysfunction, especially being a first-year head coach. It's not the typical position that you would want to be in. So, unfortunately, for the Houston Texans fan base, seems like it might be a couple more years for this team to get back on track to where they were just 3 years ago when they played against the Kansas City Chiefs, and they were up 24-0 before halftime, and all of a sudden, ever since then, it just has not been the same for the Houston Texans. It's very unfortunate, but even with a banged up Russell Wilson and a banged up Seattle Seahawks team, I'm expecting Seattle to come in, take care of business. Probably after they get done eating, go to Turkey Leg. I'm gonna get done beating the Texans. Go ahead and get you something to eat at Turkey Leg Hut. Go ahead and check out the strip clubs and enjoy yourself in Houston. Most likely that's what they'll do, probably before they get up out of here. But on a serious note, I just expect Seattle to take care of business. And my partner, again, since he's not here, he is giving me his picks. He expects Seattle to do the same thing. So let's go ahead and move on. Nobody really wants to talk about the Texans. Even Texan fans don't really want to talk about the Texans. Let's check out this comment right quick from my big cuz, Marty McFly. He says Brady throws the game so the Bills can try to get the first round bye and not the Pats. I don't know about all of that. We'll talk about that game very shortly. But let's be real, though, cuz Brady ain't out here throwing no games. He's not going to throw no games, especially not for Bill Belichick. Come on now. That's jokes. That's jokes. I got it, but we'll talk about that very soon. All right, Raiders-Chiefs game. Wow, what a 180 these Las Vegas Raiders have made in the last 4 weeks, ever since John Gruden has gotten released from the Las Vegas Raiders. Went out and won their first game after John Gruden left, and ever since then it's pretty much been a nosedive as a team, just due to, I just feel like inconsistencies and just, I really don't know. It just feels like the Raiders, we might have to call them, can't get right. They have the talent, they have the personnel from time to time. It just seems like they just can't pull it all together. They did get a win a couple weeks ago against the Dallas Cowboys in overtime. But other than that, lost to the Washington football team last week. They only put up 15 points, and you were at home. And that's a bad loss to have, especially when you're trying to fight for a playoff spot. And the Raiders last season kind of had the Chiefs numbered. Not really, but they put the Chiefs in a situation where the Chiefs had to take it a little bit more seriously instead of looking at the Raiders as in, oh, that's just a easy divisional win, like they beat up on the Broncos and other teams in the division. So for the Raiders, it kind of seemed like they're playing against the Chiefs with their Super Bowl, especially last season. This season, it's kind of coming, I think, to reality that the Raiders are not on the Chiefs level. They lost, of course, to the Chiefs in the first matchup at home, 41-14 in Vegas, and now they travel to Arrowhead, aka G High Field, and it's not looking good for the Raiders because if you got beat by over 25 points at home against your divisional rival, what do you expect to do when you travel to Arrowhead? I mean, do you expect to beat the Chiefs by over 25 points? Because it's not going to happen, especially with the Chiefs defense leading the way and playing so much better football at this moment than they've had all season long. And what it's looking like for the Kansas City Chiefs is looking like they're gearing up for another Super Bowl run. Their defense is the one that is actually carrying the Kansas City Chiefs at the moment. And you can tell me that I'm wrong or that I'm crazy, but the last 5 games that they've played, the most points that they've given up was 17 points to the New York Giants, and to be honest with you, they probably shouldn't have given up that many points. And over the last 4 games, they've given us 7, 14, 9, and 9. I mean, that is a Super Bowl caliber type of defense to take into the playoffs and to say, I'm ready to play against any team because we know our defense is going to shut you down to 9 points. If you can shut down any team to 9 points, you have a very great opportunity to win that game. And another team that they shut down to only have 9 points was the Dallas Cowboys. And again, not to rag on the Dallas Cowboys, we'll get into them very, very shortly because that is our next topic on hand. It goes to show you that, again, the Kansas City Chiefs are playing some good opponents and some high-power offenses, and they're calming them down. Las Vegas Raiders, 9 points. The Dallas Cowboys, 9 points. The Green Bay Packers, 7 points. Even though, of course, that was not with Aaron Rodgers playing quarterback. That was the game he was out. But they still had offensive weapons that they could have utilized in that game to help, I think, score a couple more points. Other than that, the Kansas City Chiefs defense is what's helping lead the charge to help the offense get back in the groove because at the moment, Kansas City Chiefs offense is not what we've seen in the last 2 years, scoring a minimum 30 points per game. Last 2 games, they've only scored 22-19. They put up the 41 burger against the Las Vegas Raiders. But other than that, the Green Bay Packers and the Giants game, they only scored 13 and 20 points. So the one thing that I am worried about the Chiefs moving forward is, can that offense get back to that Super Bowl caliber offense? Because if they can, and they probably can and they will, because they do have the championship DNA built in them, especially with their leader, Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is a guy that can flip the switch. And if that is the case, and that the Chiefs can keep teams to under 15 points, you might see, unfortunately, if you're not a fan of these teams, you might see another AFC championship matchup featuring the Chiefs and the New England Patriots. So if that's the case, hey, man, this as a Titans fan, I'm not going to lie, it hurts. It hurts because we had our little window. Didn't capitalize. And that's the NFL for you. You only have a slither of opportunity. And if you're not able to capitalize, you might see your Super Bowl dreams go right through your hands. And with that being said, like I said, we were going to talk about the Dallas Cowboys. That's our next topic at hand. The Dallas Cowboys face against the Washington football team, who is, of course, I'm assuming one of their favorite divisional foes to go against, because the pettiness has begun. Besides the quote that Mike McCartney said earlier in the week, which I'm assuming, of course, everybody's heard, because if anything is Dallas Cowboy related, they make sure that they pump through everybody's ears because it's the Dallas Cowboys. And he was, quote unquote, guaranteeing a win from the Dallas Cowboys to face off against the Washington football team. Hey, let's be real. He's confident in his team and he respects his team and feels like, speaking through the media, he feels like they are good enough to go in and go win a divisional game against a divisional opponent, which, I mean, if you look at the record and if you look at what Dallas is able to do, especially on both sides of the ball when they are clicking and they're playing well. Besides the 2 games that I talked about against the Raiders and the Chiefs, they do look like a Super Bowl caliber type of team. But when you are able to shut them down in certain areas, and if you are able to manipulate their defense, because their defense is very it's very attack based, to where they see ball, get ball. And if you're able to hit them with counters, you're able to hit them with reverses, you're able to manipulate that defense, you have an opportunity to make that defense not look as top 10 as the stats will say. Of course, you have Diggs out here leading the NFL in interceptions, but he's also leading the NFL in yards given up by a cornerback in the NFL as well too. So with him, it's either risk or reward with Diggs. Even though it might look good that you lead the NFL in interceptions, you're also giving up a lot of yards as well. So this game is going to be very interesting. The matchup I do want to definitely look at is, like I just spoke about with Diggs, is Terry McLaurin, the wide receiver for the Washington football team, against Trayvon Diggs, because of Tyler Heineke is not a scared quarterback in the pocket. He is the reason why he wears number 4. He is a reincarnation of his idol, Brett Favre, to make sure that he goes out there and sling that thing. He's somebody that's going to throw the football if you are covered or not, and it's up to you as a wide receiver to make that adjustment to catch the football. And he gives Terry McLaurin plenty of opportunities with on the year, 800 yards and 5 touchdowns. He came out in the same class with DK Metcalf and A.J. Brown, and sometimes he gets a little lost in the wash of those great receivers that came out in that same draft class as him. But if you look at the production that he's been able to have and the quarterbacks that have thrown him the ball, he's looked at as, in just my opinion, he's looked at as a baby DeAndre Hopkins. If you go and look at who he's had to play with quarterback-wise, and you look at the production that he's put out there, and nobody paying attention to him, he just reminds me so much of DeAndre Hopkins when he was doing what he was doing in his younger years with the Houston Texans. And he's somebody that's going to be a big factor moving forward as a number 1 wide receiver. He's the number 1 wide receiver for the Washington football team, and they go when those two are clicking. And, of course, when the running game is clicking as well. Unfortunately, J.D. McKissic will be missing another game, and that's unfortunate, because I feel like with him added into the offense, that makes their game that much more balanced, to where you can't focus in on just the running game. You can't just double a wide receiver or two and try to shut down a number 1 wide receiver, because unfortunately, they do have injury with Logan Thomas right now at tight end position, but they do have some backups that can come in and replace Logan Thomas at the moment and fill in for the Washington football team. I think this game is a lot closer than people expect. I really want to pick the Washington football team to win this game, because this is a home game, and I talk about this a lot on this show. When there are home divisional games, those are games you're supposed to win. You have to win. You have to get those games, especially if you want to create that split. But I just feel like with the Washington football team, with their record shows who they are at this moment in the season. They're 6-6. They are a 500 team. They wowed me one week like they did last week against the Raiders, and then they let me down next week and they lose to a team like the Denver Broncos. You're on a 4-game winning streak with the Washington football team, but I just feel like you shouldn't have to put yourself in a position where you have to go on a 4-game winning streak, beating a good team like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and also, like I said, with the Las Vegas Raiders. But if you were a good team, you would maybe be 8-4 like the Dallas Cowboys are at this moment. But this is a great opportunity for you, Washington football team, to keep on riding this wave, keep riding this momentum, to not just prove to the world. Not just prove to yourself, because let's be real, most locker rooms say it's us and against everybody else, but to prove to everyone else, so that everybody else know, hey, y'all better take us seriously, because let's remind everybody, Washington football team won the NFC East division last year. It wasn't the Cowboys. So maybe the division does run through Maryland. Maybe the division does run through Landover, Maryland, home of FedEx Field. And Washington is taking this disrespect that they're getting very seriously and probably looking at everybody and saying, did y'all forget about us? So this game, even though I'm picking Ish and I are picking the Cowboys, with the added element of the benches being added. If you haven't seen yet, apparently the Dallas Cowboys flew in, which is the first time a lot of people in the NFL have seen this, flew in their own home benches that they use in Cowboy Stadium. They flew them into FedEx Field to place as their bench instead of sitting on the visitor bench. So I don't know exactly what that means. This is coming from somebody that's played football for 10 plus years. I've never seen anything like that before. I don't know what that means, and I don't know, but I just know that it adds that much more to this game. When this game is over with, who knows? It might be called the bench game when it comes to going to this legacy of this rivalry. But I'm excited. I'm all here for it. I want to see what happens throughout this game. So we'll see what happens. But for both teams, I think it's a great game for both teams to show up and to see. Are Cowboys, are y'all Super Bowl contending type of team? Or Washington football team, are y'all right there to steal it away and and just get into the playoff mix? If you can win the division and just have a home playoff game, anything can happen. So it'll be very interesting to see. All right, Saints versus Jets. Let's be real, we're not going to spend too long on this game. No disrespect, but besides the Jets getting back Zach Wilson last week, unfortunately at the moment, the New Orleans Saints have not won a game since Jameis Winston has gotten hurt and torn his ACL. Since Ish is not here, I can finally speak without any interruptions, without any hatred towards a very, very good quarterback named Jameis Winston. And I know, of course, Ish doesn't want to say this, and he won't say this right now, and it's fine. He'll say it later on, and we can all, of course, go back to these episodes and just say, hey, X was right. But before Jameis got hurt, he had a little over 1,000 yards, 14 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. He was protecting the ball. He was running an efficient offense. And let's remind everybody, the Saints were 5-2 at the moment before Jameis went down for the season. Ever since Trevor Siemian was 0-4 with Trevor Siemian, and also with now Swiss Army knife and $50 million man Taysom Hill. They ever 0-1, and of course he will be the starting quarterback once again. It's not all on Taysom. I'm not here to rag on Taysom at all. It's, of course, the no threat of having a running game, a consistent running game without having Kamara there. Kamara makes his return back into a Saints uniform, so that's great for all Saints fans, because one thing I know about Saints fans, they love them some Kamara. And with that being said, I feel like where the Saints are at now, you're playing more for pride. The playoffs are out of here. It's more of seeing what the Saints have moving into next season, because I feel like they rebuild and they get better next season, and we'll see the Saints. We'll see what happens with the Saints next year. I feel like they'll pick it up, but knowing them, they'll lollygag in the regular season and find a way to make the playoffs. So we'll see what happens. But with this game with the Jets, I would say I'm disappointed in the Jets, but honestly, I expect them to. At this moment, 3-9. I expect the Jets to be like this at this moment. So everything that the Jets are doing, I expect. I'm just a little more disappointed from the Saints just due to, unfortunately, Jameis being hurt. And I feel like you should have made that switch over to Taysom a lot sooner instead of letting Trevor Siemian go 0-4. But, hey, that's here nor there. Let's see what happens with the Saints go marching into New York and play against the New York Jets. All right, another divisional matchup in the NFC South, the Falcons and the Panthers. I'm going to be completely honest with all y'all. It took me a minute. It took me a minute to figure out who I want for this game. Both of these teams are 5-7. Both of these teams are underwhelming. Both of these teams are very disappointing this whole season. I'm just being completely honest. And both of these teams have former MVP quarterbacks who are probably past their prime. And that's okay because in the NFC South, that's just the bottom two teams at the moment. What they do when it comes to who leads their charge. I think the Falcons, of course, are playing for the future. They are, of course, they just implemented their new head coach, Arthur Smith, coming from the Tennessee Titans. Let's be real, we all know Matt Ryan is on the back end of his career. You add guys like a Kyle Pitts, and they're trying to get younger and they're trying to get better through the draft. But it's going to take a couple years. And this season, there are games I feel like they gave up that they should have won. And there are games that they won, and I look at it like, how in the hell did they win that game? And that's something that you can build off of going into next season. But it's just the inconsistencies with the Falcons. You lose for the Falcons, they lose games that they're supposed to lose. You lose to Tampa Bay, you lose to New England, you lose to Dallas. I mean, those are games nobody really expect you to lose. Expect you to win. I apologize. And then you have games like at Jacksonville where you win. Jacksonville is not a great team, but to go on the road and win a game, that's good. And then the biggest win to me, I think, is you go to New Orleans and beat New Orleans at home. That's I think one of the biggest wins that they had on this season that they can look back on and say, look what we were able to do even with a bad season. Because to go into New Orleans, again, I don't care if it's Jameis, if it's Drew Brees, Archie Manning, it don't matter who's playing quarterback, that dome's going to be rocking. And for anybody that that's played against the Saints and there was a visiting team, everybody says that you can't hear. There, Seattle, Lambeau, Foxborough, it's certain stadiums, they are just so loud that it's hard to even get a play in. And for the Falcons to win that game, I just feel like you have to hang your hat on moving next season. And with all the talking that I'm doing, I'm letting you know, because with me picking the Panthers, it was a coin flip. This is a coin flip game for me, and it looks like maybe for Ish as well too. Even though the Panthers are probably projected to win, they are a 2.5-point favorite to win this game. I just feel like it's just, again, even though I'm picking the Panthers to win, I'm not confident in this pick at all. Because what I really want to see from this game is, with the firing of Joe Brady, I'm trying to see, are they making that move because they have their tails stuck between their legs like a dog, and they're kind of backpedaling because of signing Cam, and Cam really not doing anything besides that first game where he came in for a couple plays, lit it up, and everybody thought Cam is back. And ever since then, it's been a meme back on Cam, to where it's like, yeah, we thought you was back, but in reality, you're not. So this is an opportunity for Cam and the rest of the offense to get right. If you feel like the Falcons are not that good of a team, if you just feel like you're that much better of a team, then let's show it today at home in Carolina, and let's get this offense back rolling. Because from what we've seen from the Panthers with their offense the last couple of weeks, especially last week the week before against the Miami Dolphins, 10 points. Cam went 5 for 21. I mean, it was horrific on offense. And to come into this game, they have to, one, you have to score more than 10 points. I'll say that. If you don't score more than 10 points, there's a problem, because, again, you fired your OC and you have 4 games left to go. What's next? You can't fire everybody. So it's going to be interesting to me what happens in this game, because it could be I don't know, I want to say the beginning of the end at Cam in Carolina, because they want to bring him back next year, but I don't know. Like, I'm confused of what they're doing in Carolina right now. I think sometimes it's like they're trying to throw darts at a dartboard and just trying to see what sticks. Yeah, but shout out to my boy Fracture Water on YouTube tuning in. He says, Falcons by 3. I respect it. I do. And he asks, is this Matty Ice last season? To be honest with you, I would say yes if Matty Ice wasn't still productive. It looks like he still had a little bit more football left in him. Just my opinion. And I think he makes the move like a Peyton and goes to another team. I'm not saying win a Super Bowl. I'm just saying make a move later in his career and play for a team maybe like Peyton did and go play for the Broncos for a year or two. Go to maybe Seattle. Russell Wilson might be on the move. Houston Texans. It sound like Fracture Water might be trying to vie for Matt Ryan to come to Houston. I don't know, but what I do know is I think it's time to make that change, not just with Matt Ryan in Atlanta, but of course in the Northeast with Big Ben and Pittsburgh. I think it's time to unfortunately turn some pages on some guys, and it's unfortunately an end of an era for certain people. But in reality, hey, that's just what it is. Father Time is undefeated, and that's just how it always will be. Even though we have immortal people, I should say, like a Thomas Brady, who's still out here playing at 44. It makes no sense. But hey, things are the way that it is. All right, let's go ahead and move on to another divisional matchup. But I think probably one of the better divisional matchups of the slate, the weekend slate, because this is some very important playoff implications. The Browns are still in the playoff hunt, of course, and they can definitely find a way to not just make the playoffs, but maybe even steal the division. The season, of course, is still not over with yet. But unfortunately for the Browns, just a couple weeks ago, they played the Ravens in Baltimore, and they lost that game. And to be completely honest, I feel like they gave the game away. For you to, as a Browns team, to create so many turnovers against Baltimore and let that game slip away, it has to hurt, because you end up now hoping for a split here at home. You might unfortunately get swept, to where not just you get swept, but now you also put yourself in a position to where you're not able to win the division because you just got swept by the Ravens. So this game is very, very, very important to the Cleveland Browns as much as it is to the Baltimore Ravens. But I'll also say as well, besides this being important to the Cleveland Browns, this is definitely important to the Baltimore Ravens, because at the moment, I mean, even though the Ravens are 8-4 and they've won 2 of the last 3 games, you lost to Pittsburgh last week, and we see how Pittsburgh is right now. And like I said, 2 weeks prior, you played Cleveland, and you probably should have lost that game as well too, but you end up pulling that game out. And the week prior, you played Chicago with Lamar not the starting quarterback due to COVID, and you win that game barely by 3 points. Granted, a win's a win. Baltimore Ravens, we might as well call them the dramatic Ravens, because they have nothing but dramatic wins or losses, not just in this season, but what they've been doing with Lamar since day one. My thing is, and I love watching Lamar Jackson play. He's a phenomenal talent. It's not that. It's more of, is this sustainable? We're in week 14, and I just can't see what they are doing. I can't see it working in the playoffs. What I mean by that is Lamar, it's all on Lamar. And it's messed up because all of his running backs are hurt. Not blaming Lamar on that, not blaming the training staff of the Baltimore Ravens, not blaming the turf, not blaming this, not blaming that. I'm just saying at the moment, all of his running backs are hurt. Wide receivers are not there. His main threat is a tight end. And when you are pretty much having to make everything happen for you on offense, it's it will work throughout the regular season. It will work at certain points in games, but in the playoffs, and you'll hear it all the time. You're going to hear it in the next couple weeks. Playoffs a different game. Playoffs a different game, and it is. And if you're Lamar Jackson and everything is based upon you, and you're a defense that know I'm gonna put 8 in the box, and we're gonna blitz you. A lot of people keep saying maybe that Miami game on Thursday Night Football when they play against Miami Dolphins was the blueprint to show how to shut down Lamar Jackson, to come on blitzes, 0 blitzes, to make him have to make tough throws while getting blitzed, and maybe we can win the game. And ever since then, we haven't seen Baltimore find a way to beat those type of blitzes. Do the Browns mimic what they've seen those last couple of weeks, or are they going to play their type of defense? It's going to be very interesting. I think the first half, we have to see what happens in the first half, how the defense plays, and then see how they adjust in the second half. If they are able to blitz him, get at him, and contain him in the pocket in the first half, I think they continue to stay with that plan. But if they play back and let him sit back there and throw and be Lamar Jackson, one, they're going to have a long-ass day, and two, they better make some second-half adjustments, or it's going to be the same thing in second half. And honestly, if that does happen, the Cleveland Browns don't deserve to go to the playoffs. So if any of that even happens, then the Browns don't even deserve to go into the playoffs in the first place, and the Baltimore Ravens will be fine with this game. But one thing I will caveat on this game, which I had to look into because I know my boy Ish is a stat guy, so I want to make sure we get our stats right today. And I was very surprised by this because I know that these two teams rush the ball a lot, and the Cleveland Browns have been the number 1 rushing team in the NFL. But at the moment, teams are tied with yards per game at 147.1 on the dot on both teams with rushing yards per game. So we both know, we all know that both of these teams are going to run the ball. It's going to be an old school game like it was for the first game. And it's all about who wants it more, who wants to make those stops, who wants to stop Lamar and not look silly doing it, because Jadeveon Clowney and Myles Garrett was looking real silly trying to get Lamar on the ground a couple weeks ago. And I think for the Browns, it's more of an important game for them to win this game at home to get that split. That's why I'm going with the Browns. I'm assuming Ish went with the Ravens because he feels like Lamar is going to step on their throats and finish off the Browns. That's what I think. I'm not for sure, but again, it'll be interesting to see what happens in that game, especially in the first half. Let's check out that first half of the game, and we'll go from there. All right, Jaguars and Titans. There's really not too much to talk about besides the Tennessee Titans doing what they do best, and that's let's play down to teams' levels. We've seen that already with the New York Jets and, of course, the Houston Texans. The Titans like to lose to teams that they're not supposed to lose to. Don't really understand why that is, but with the Tennessee Titans playing against another divisional foe, the Jacksonville Jaguars, they like to keep it close for no reason. So I do not expect this game to be a blowout at all. If it is, I'm surprised. If Derrick Henry was playing, I would expect more of a 20-point blowout. But with Derrick Henry not playing, I expect this game to be a little bit more competitive. But here's my thing, what I got to look at in this game. Ryan Tannehill. I'm talking to you, Ryan Tannehill. I'm looking right at you. We got to get it together. I mean, this is ridiculous. I mean, but on the season, 2,700 yards, 14 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. 13. You threw 4 interceptions against Houston Texans. Tennessee Titans. I'm looking at all y'all now as a whole, as a team. This is the game. You're an 8.5-point favorite in this game. This is the game to get right. I don't know how to say it any simpler than that. Take care of your business at home. Be the team you're supposed to beat at home, and let's get ready for the playoffs. Because yes, the Tennessee Titans have injuries, but we're not even going to worry about that right now. It's about how you look. I'm not worried about stats. I don't give a damn about who injured, because everybody injured right now in the NFL. I'm worried about how do you look as a team playing in week 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, because this stuff matters. Because when you look back on it, when we go to the Super Bowl, or when teams go to the Super Bowl and we look back on how they finish out their season, we're going to see a team that was able to rally off 5 straight wins going to the playoffs, 6 straight wins going to the playoffs, because that's what Tampa Bay Buccaneers did last season. That's what the Kansas City Chiefs did a couple seasons ago. It is a trend. It is a real thing. And if the Tennessee Titans want to be taken seriously as a Super Bowl contending type of team in the AFC, because the AFC is wide open, it's not just the Patriots, but the Tennessee Titans want to be taken seriously, take care of business. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to move forward, because that game shouldn't even be talked about that much, because, again, take care of your business. All right. Let's get to this game. Before we do, let's get to the comment section, because I apologize. I left my boy Fractured Walnut hanging. I got you. I'm going to come right back to you in this right quick in this second. He says, can't wait for y'all's draft board show. I got some ideas for the Texans. Of course, this is about another 3 more months. Come on, that's my Texan fans out there. They worry more about the draft than this weekend. Come on, man. Week 14, Julius. We on week 14, not the draft. Now, I'll mess with you. All right, he also says, Browns better be ready. The Ravens are coming for blood after last week. Definitely understand and respect your comments on that. And he also says, Ryan got to get it together, or this will be the last time he will be a starter in the league. I'll be honest with you. Unfortunately, won't be, because Tennessee Titans have signed him. He's already signed his deal for. He's already in the contract for like 2 more years, so he'll be a starter. He'll be with the Tennessee Titans. Other teams, I don't know, but he'll be a starter with us. All right, let's go ahead and finish off some of these games so we can let y'all go and enjoy y'all Sunday morning. Because after this, I'm about to go get me some brunch. I don't know about but I'm about to get me some brunch. And with a team like the New York Giants coming to LA, I hope that they get them some nice brunch, because if you've been to both cities, New York and LA, there are 2 different types of food experiences. Coming from somebody who's been to both, I'd rather eat at LA. New York kind of, but another story from the other day. The New York Giants, they've had a lot of their ups and downs. It seems like their whole wide receiver core at the moment is either on IR or on the COVID protocol list at the moment. And for the Chargers, with them getting a very, very big win last week against the Cincinnati Bengals, which if you checked out last week on X Talking Ish, I did predict as well for them to have. I think it helps the Chargers, like I spoke last segment about the Tennessee Titans, get back on track and have us as the nation look at y'all LA Chargers as maybe y'all are a team that we can take a little bit more seriously in the AFC, because throughout the season, the the LA Chargers, my apologies, have had their own inconsistencies throughout the season to where I want to take them seriously because of their offense. But then I look at their offense from time to time and it makes me cringe, because they're too damn good to be so stagnant. And what I am worried about more than anything, of course, besides their inconsistencies on offense, is the defense. The defense, to me, I just feel like it's just giving too many points. They're not like their older brother, the LA Rams, that are have a very, let's just say, star-powered defense. But we'll talk a little bit more about that later on in this show. The LA, I don't know why I want to keep calling this team the Kansas City Chiefs. I apologize out there, my LA Charger fans. I do apologize, but the LA Chargers, over the last 5 weeks, they've given up at least 20 points per game. Going back to the Minnesota loss, giving up 27 points, 37 points against Pittsburgh, 28 points against Denver, and 22 points against Cincinnati, who at one point in time they held them to, I think, 7 points for 3 quarters. So just looking at the Denver game, it infuriates me, because Denver's offense is not that good. So for the Chargers defense to give up 28 points to an offense that doesn't put up that many points, and also with the loss against, of course, I'm sorry, not the loss, but the win against the Steelers, but the way that y'all almost lost that game, Justin Herbert had to come and pull y'all out from that, because the defense gave up a late touchdown, and we thought the Steelers were going to win that game. So I think this is a season for the LA Chargers to learn and to get better because Keenan Allen's clock is ticking. You have Jared Cook, and he's only maybe 1 or 2 more seasons left, and I don't know if he's going to be with the Chargers. And you also, of course, have Mike Williams, who he's been in the league for a minute now. I'm not saying he's going to retire next year, but you got to capitalize on these windows to get better and be successful, or they will, be gone that quickly. And we've seen this Chargers organizations miss windows with Phillip Rivers time in and time and again. Will they do the same thing with Justin Herbert? Unfortunately, we will, of course, have to wait and see. But the Chargers are everything right now that the Giants want to be. And with that being said, that's why Ish and I picked the Chargers to win. And the Giants, I think they'll be clearing house sooner than later. I wouldn't be surprised if Joe Judge might get his clearing papers after the season's over with. All right, speaking of the Broncos, they host the Lions in Denver today. And who knows? Is this the game where the Detroit Lions go streaking? Is this where they start up the 2-game winning streak? Yeah, you got to win one to start up a winning streak, right? So last week they got their win. We thought it was maybe not going to happen looking at the rest of their schedule, but they were able to get their win against a divisional team, the Minnesota Vikings. And they go on the road to play against the Denver Broncos. And we're going to wake up from the dream that we all had of the Lions winning a game last week, and we're going to get right back to reality, as Eminem would say, of course, a Detroit native. And what we are going to do is let Detroit know that, y'all, speaking of draft, y'all need to get ready for the draft. That's what y'all need to do, because this game is over with before it even started. If the Lions come in and beat Denver, which Denver is 11.5-point favorite, if y'all let that happen, Denver, we're not even gonna spend that much time on this game. We're gonna go ahead and move on because we got better games to talk about. So, yeah. But anyways, Fracture One also says this game is gonna be full of field goals. FGS, he means, of course, field goals. Let's hope not. Let's check in the weather and see what they got going on. It's supposed to be 58 degrees and sunny. So hey, that's some beautiful weather out there. It shouldn't be too windy out there in Denver. So you definitely are onto something over there. It could be a game full of field goals. All right. Game that's not going to be full of field goals. This Bills and Buccaneers game. This might be the best game of that second slate. This one or the next game we'll talk about. Just due to implications. I think if you look at this game the same way I talked about with the Ravens and Browns, the Buccaneers don't need this game, but the Bills need this game so much more than the Buccaneers. With them not being in the same conference, it doesn't have anything to do with conference. It has everything to do with the Bills getting back to the number one spot in their own division. And not even just so much that, let's just be real. Confidence. I mean, right now, the Buffalo Bills are not where they want to be, where they thought they would be in the beginning of the season. There were a lot of people that picked them to go to the Super Bowl this year. There are a lot of people that expected them to be in the AFC Conference Championship again. There's a lot of people that expected more of the Bills at this point in the season. And I really do not know if that changes today due to Tampa being at home, because there are just so many other things that are holding up Buffalo from winning this game, to where it's just very hard for me to look at Buffalo and say, oh, they're going to go on the road and go beat a Buccaneers team that's won the last 3 games and that are getting better every week in and week out, and they haven't missed a beat since that New York Giants game. I can't make that pick, because you have the best run defense. The Bills have no running offense. The Buccaneers on both sides of the ball are getting better. The Bills on both sides of the ball are getting worse. I don't know, especially I'll say this. If the Buffalo Bills on Monday Night Football when they lost to the Patriots, if Sean McDermott and all the other players would have said it was we lost, we could blame the weather all we want to, but both teams played in it, and we're going to chalk this up. We're going to watch the film. We're going to keep moving. If everybody would have came out and said that, I honestly might pick the Bills for the upset today, because I would have looked at the team and said, you know what? That's a veteran type team that understands that, hey, we didn't have it today. It sucks, but we get them back in a couple more weeks. Let's see what we can do these next couple weeks, because we have some big games coming up. And I think the way that they ended that game, I just think that maybe their heart got taken from them. It remains to be seen. We have to wait and see what the Bills look like in the next couple of weeks, especially when in Foxborough when they play the Patriots again. But could they get a double dose of patriotism from last week losing to Belichick and now this week losing to a former Patriot, Tom Brady? Brady overall record-wise is 32-3 against the Buffalo Bills, and that's the most wins for any quarterback over one team. It's hard for me to go against a trend right now, and that trend is a 90 percentile of picking the Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to win this game. I just don't. I mean, if the Bills pull off this win, it would be to me the biggest upset of the weekend. Over the Lions winning, over the Texans winning, over the Jets winning. No, this game, I feel like if the Bills win this game, barring injury for anybody with Tampa Bay, I will look at the Bills like, okay, I still don't understand what the hell y'all are doing over there, but great job picking y'all selves up and winning this game, going on the road. But I don't see it. I guess my partner Ish sees it. He's picking the Bills to win this game. I don't know. I need to hear what y'all have to say. I need to know what y'all feel, the ones that's tuning in, because I just don't see the Bills win this game. My boy Fracture Runner says Tom has owned the Bills. Will it change today? Like I said, 32-3. That's a record that it's pretty hard to argue against. I'll say that. All right, let's get to another great game that I was saying that, hey, it could be the Bills Buccaneers game, where that could be the best game, or it could be right here in Cincinnati, Ohio, where the 49ers travel from the West Coast to play a Bengals team who's trying to figure things out as a young team. And even though with the loss that they had last week at home against the LA Chargers, they now have a second opportunity to show everybody, hey, even though we're still young and we want to, make the playoffs, they actually want to make some noise in the playoffs. And if you want to make noise in the playoffs, you have to beat a playoff caliber type of team like this 49ers team who does get back Deebo Samuel. And for the Bengals, if they can have amnesia of last week and get rid of what happened last week, I think that they have a great opportunity to win the game at home. If this was in Santa Clara, I think I might pick the 49ers. Granted, and I know why Ish is picking the 49ers. Like I said with the last topic, if you're looking at a trend, if you're looking at things that have happened over seasons, when you have Kittle, Bosa, Debo, and Jimmy Garoppolo playing, the 49ers are 16-5. Great record, of course. But not just so much that, just this season alone, the 49ers are undefeated on the road. So for the 49ers to play, I don't know what they're doing at home. I don't know if they just don't like food in San Francisco. I don't know what's going on. But they can't buy a win at home. But when they go on the road, they win these games on the road. So I understand why Ish is picking the 49ers, because in reality, I mean, especially for my fantasy team, shout out to my boy Debo, I probably would pick the 49ers too. But I got to look at my boy, a.k.a. Joey Franchise, a.k.a. Home Alone, a.k.a. Macaulay Culkin's sidekick. I got to look at Joey Franchise and say, Is this the game where you help add to your resume of your legacy of being that dude? That dude, and we have to see, because let's be real, but if you know about Martellus Bennett, he feels the type of way about Jimmy G. If you're a Jimmy G supporter or a Jimmy G onlooker, we all know Jimmy G ain't got no lion in him. Like, he ain't got no, he ain't got no, y'all know what I'm talking about. He ain't got that, y'all know what I'm talking about. And with that being said, Joey B he got that swag, man. He got that LSU. He didn't get that Ohio State. He was just there for a short time, but he got that LSU. Oh, when he was at LSU, he was in that booth. He got that little home cooking. A little, mine got him a little twerk over there. You know what I'm talking about. I don't know what I'm talking about over there. And ever since then, Joey B been swagging things out. So with that being said, I have to rock with these young Bengals. I think they get it back together. That run game gets back to where it needs to be. And I think they pull off a close one against the 49ers at home. If you don't, I'll be honest with you, I think the Bengals' opportunities to make the playoffs for this season might be over with. But because of the division that they're in, we'll see, of course, what happens with the Baltimore and Cleveland game, because they're right in the mix of everything. So it's interesting how this season is going to play out, man. This is a wild season. I haven't seen a season like this in forever, probably. All right, Sunday night football game probably would be a little bit better of a game if it was if Aaron Rodgers didn't own the Chicago Bears, but Aaron Rodgers said what he said, and he doubled down on it again, playing in Lambeau and pretty much saying, hey, you can be mad at me, you can be mad at what I said, but pretty sure the resume speaks for itself, and I'm just going to leave it at that. And at the end of the day, Mr. Rodgers is correct. Mr. Rodgers has taken care of business, and now you're back at Aaron Rodgers' neighborhood, a.k.a. Lambeau Field, Chicago Bears, and the Green Bay Packers are 11.5-point favorite. And besides Justin Fields being a rookie, the Chicago Bears haven't looked like I'm not even going to throw out a playoff team. They just haven't even looked like a team this whole season. I mean, besides being 4-8, the whole city wants your head coach fired. You're just upset being in Chicago. I'd be upset too. I have to be in a city that don't win shit and apparently thinks that pizza is lasagna, and they're besides their food being pretty damn good, the pizza's trash. Other than that, I mean, the whole city wants Matt Nagy fired. Apparently, the ownership of the Bears are just like, let's hold off a second. We got this. We know what we're doing. But in reality, you don't. And I think the reason why is because this is the first time the Chicago Bears has ever in their life had a decent quarterback. Again, if you go look back at the history, this is a 100-year history of an organization, and they have never had a decent quarterback. They've had quarterbacks that take them to a Super Bowl and win one, and they had a quarterback that got them to a Super Bowl, Mr. Rex Grossman, and lost one. But when it comes to having a star talent like a Justin Fields, he maybe could change your franchise, but it seems like the ones that are sitting above are just so used to having a running back type of productivity type of player to where now that they have a quarterback, they're fumbling the bag. And could they stagger Justin Fields' career before it even starts? We don't know. It'll be yet to remain to be seen. But we do know that things need to change next season. And if they don't, it's going to be very telling for the players of that organization, for the fan base, for everybody that's just on looker at Chicago Bears. It's going to be very interesting because there's some obvious changes that need to be made. And again, we'll see what happens. Of course, Ish and I are obviously on the Packers. I don't see the Packers losing this game unless they just have a total brain fart. Besides Aaron Rodgers' numbed toe, if you saw reports, he apparently can't numb his toe consistently because he has to have feeling. So he's playing with a hurt toe. I'm at a point where I'll be on with all I don't know if he really got a hurt toe. Because like Ish and I talked about the last couple weeks, if your toe hurt more than turf toe, you ain't out there making no type of moves. That is That's here nor there. Aaron Rodgers, who knows? Maybe you're a wizard. I don't know. But it'll be yet to be seen. But who knows? Like with Aaron Rodgers, with the rest of his NFL season, it has been different, to say the least. It has been a different season, and I appreciate all y'all for tuning in on our pregame show as always. Please, of course, before y'all get up out of here, make sure y'all like and share this broadcast so we can have a couple folks check out this pregame show before you check out, of course, what we have for you for Week 14 in the NFL season. With that being said, I appreciate everybody for tuning in to X Talking Ish. Please make sure y'all see us tomorrow, Monday Night Football, halftime show, and, of course, our Tuesday recap, 9 o'clock Central Time and 10 o'clock Eastern. Thank y'all very much, and we will see y'all